Today I'm going to show you how to use WeVideo. We're going to start by logging into the website. So you have two options. You can either go right to login if you already have an account, or if you're new, you can go to sign up. When you go to sign up, you'll be taken to a window where you get to choose your level of account. We want to choose the free account by clicking the Get Started in the free column. When you get to this screen, because we are Google users, the easiest way to do this is to click Sign In with Google. And it already knows my credentials, so it's already going to log me in. This is my home screen. I want to notice across the top I have some links, and along the left-hand side in this Quick Links column. And we're going to go directly to Upload Media over in this Quick Links column and click it. Once here, if you already have files chosen for your project, like I do, you can go ahead and upload them into WeVideo. I have mine saved in my Google Drive already, so I'm going to click this Google Drive icon to link to my account. I've already allowed WeVideo to link to my account, so it takes me right to this interface where I can choose where my files are located. Notice I've made a folder called WeVideo. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to show me all of these files that I have saved in WeVideo, and a bunch of them I don't want. What I do want are these last three. So I can click on multiple files, and it will give me a little thumbnail of each of the files that I've selected. Then when I'm ready, I've selected all my files, I'm going to click Upload. When I come back to this screen, I actually still have to hit Start Upload. Okay, so all of my files are done uploading. I can see over here in these progress bars they say completed. So now I have two choices. I can go to the media option to sort my files, or I can go directly to projects. If I go to media, what I can do is I could potentially make a folder to save these files specifically. So I could make a John Locke folder. So now I'm going to go to projects. And I want to create a new video. You can see I've created some other videos in the past, but right now I want to create a new video. And this is going to take me to the editor, and this is the loading screen. Okay, so this is my main interface. You can see there are some options across the top here, and the most important one for us is this timeline option. There are several choices: storyboard, timeline simple, timeline advanced. We're going to be working in advanced today, and that's what that little A in the parentheses mean. Beneath that are your different options for media, audio, things that you can put into your video. And we're going to be using all of these today. Okay, if you move down, you can see down here, this is my actual timeline. And I have some different tracks in my timeline here. Video 1, main, audio 1, voiceover. The main track is where you're going to put all of your normal graphics, images, transitions, that sort of thing. Video 1 you would use if you want to add multiple images in the same frames. So if I wanted two pictures to show at the same time, that's where I would do this. Audio 1 would be for background music, which we're going to put in, and voiceover, hopefully, is evident that it's for you to be able to put in your own voiceover right into the video. If for any reason you needed to add or delete a track, you can click this screwdriver and wrench button called the timeline settings, and it will bring up some options. And you can either add a track or delete a track. When you go to delete a track, the only one I'm technically allowed to delete is this audio 1. The others are grayed out and I can't click on them. But I could do audio 1 if I wanted. So we're going to start building our project. And the first thing that I want to put into my project is a graphic, because I want to put in a title screen for my presentation. So you can see on the left here, there are a bunch of different options within the graphic options. Frames, overlays, backgrounds. I'm going to stick with backgrounds, and I'm going to pick this abstract gold. If I want to see what it looks like, I can hit this play, and I'll get a preview over here to the right. Okay, looks good. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to drag it into my main track. The ones that are grayed with the bars means I cannot put the item in those tracks. All right, so right now, if I hover over this item, I can see it's 34 seconds long, which is much longer than I actually need it to be. So if I am selected on this item in the track and I come to the right edge, my pointer turns into a two-way arrow, which allows me to shrink the size. And I'm only going to need like 10 seconds. So there we go. If I need it to be more precise, I can come to this slider in the bottom right-hand corner to change the zoom level of my timeline. And this will give me a little bit more control over the precise measurements. And then I can just take it back down so I can see more of my timeline. Okay, so let's say I've put my title screen in and now I want to put in some of the pictures that I've chosen for my project. I can go back to the media folder and you can see here are the 3 images that I have picked for my project. So I can grab and drag it into my project, and again I can see a preview of it. So I have a couple of options here. I could go in and edit my picture, and in order to do that I just double click the picture and it's going to bring up editing options. So I have rotation, I have flip, I have fit screen, and if I do that, obviously it gets very big on his face rather than tall, and so I can see the whole picture. Either one of these is an acceptable option. You can, in fact, animate either one. So I'm going to leave it on fit screen, and I'm going to change its position. In order to change its position, I can come right over to the preview. I can grab it and drag it somewhere else within the presentation. If I want to be more precise, I can come in here and I can actually change the numbers. So at the start, the picture will appear here on the left. So at this point, if I wanted to, I could potentially put text over here at some point, or if I'm just going to do a voiceover, I could animate the picture and have it move during its time on the screen. In order to do that, I go over to the end option, and you can see it's back in the middle of the screen where it started, and I'm going to move it over to the right. Again, I'm going to be more precise, put the number in exactly. All right, so at the start it's on one side, and by the time I'm done looking at this picture, it will have moved over to the other side. I also have options for fade in and out if I want to add those. And it doesn't give you much unless you hit advanced panel. And then you can see there are options for how long the fade in and out lasts, but I'm not going to use that today. So I'm going to hit done editing. And you can see if I grab my playhead and move it across the picture, I can get a sense of what it's going to look like. So this picture is on for 5 seconds. Not a bad amount of time for what we're doing today. Now, if I go back here and I hit my space bar, it will begin playing my video so far. And you can see there's a really abrupt cut between my title screen and my first picture. So in order to make that a little nicer, I come to transitions. And again, you have lots of options for transitions. There's 3 folders, and each folder has a bunch of options in it. I'm going to pick this bubble pattern. If I want to see what it looks like, I can again hit play to see a preview, and I'm going to grab it and drag it in between my title screen and my first picture. Okay, so I want to make sure my picture is still on for 5 seconds and it hasn't been shortened, so I'm going to expand my timeline and hover over my picture. And in fact, it has been shortened by a second. So I'm going to grab it and drag it over so it's again 5 seconds. I can do the same thing with my title screen, which has been taken down by a second because of the transition. Okay, and I've moved it over so it's 10 seconds again, and I still have the bubble pattern for a second, and I still have my 5 seconds for my first picture. All right, I'm going to leave my timeline expanded just because I like to be able to see it more precisely. So let's say I want to put in another picture. And this time I want two pictures to display at the same time. First, I would pick one picture to put down in my main track. Okay. And I'm going to come in, I'm going to double click the picture, and I'm going to move it, and I'm going to put its position at 0, 0, so it's on the left. I don't want it to move, so I'm going to go to the end, and I'm going to make it the same exact position. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my second picture, and I'm going to put it in the track above on video 1. Okay. Now this time I want to pick the picture over on the right hand side of the screen. So again, I'm going to go into the editing, and I'm going to change the position. Oh, and you can see that background of that other picture because I'm slightly over the line into the previous picture. And we will fix that. Okay. So I saw it was 353 and 0. Oops. And so now you can see I have two pictures on the screen at once, which is what I wanted. Now again, I'm a little over the line, which is why we can see the other picture before. And I'm trying to be precise with the editor. Looks like I've done pretty well. Might be a little short on this end too. Okay, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, good. But again, I might want to put a transition in. Come here, let's see, about ornamental form. That's pretty interesting, let's try that one. Stick that in here. And still I want to make sure I haven't shortened any of my other pictures. This one's down to 4, so I want to make it 5. My transition is still at 1 second, but this picture is now down to 4 seconds. So I'm going to click on it, take it back out to 5 seconds. Then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to move this one so that it's in the same spot as the one below, so that when my playhead comes over, they're both here. So at this point, I'm not going to add any more media to my video. I think you've got the basics down. So now I'd like to add a title to my title screen by going to the text options. When I've found one that I like, and there's not that many to choose from, I grab it. I'm going to drag it over the media I want it to display on in the media track. So I'm going to put it in the video track in the same spot as the media I want it to appear on. Okay, double clicking it brings up my editing options. I have an animation option, which I'm not going to start with. I'm actually going to start with the text option so that I can pick what I want it to say. So I'm going to type Age of Enlightenment. Not my favorite font, so I'm going to look in here, and I have a bunch of different font options to choose from. I'm going to pick Cantata 1. Now you can see the bottom of my G is no longer displaying. All I have to do is resize my box by coming to one of the corners and resizing the box. Okay, so now if I want to make it more interesting, I can come over here to animation and again do the movement option. So I could have it start at the bottom. I'm going to change that X position to 0 so it's right in the center. And I could come to end, and I could change this if I wanted to, but maybe I want it to end right there at 0, 0, right in the middle of the screen. So if that's what I wanted to do, I hit Done Editing. Now, this is supposed to be about John Locke, right? And I've only put Age of Enlightenment. So I'm actually going to take this down to 5 seconds. So I'm going to add his name into the title screen as well. So I'm going to grab another text box and place it into the presentation and shrink it down to the same size as the rest of the presentation. Okay, and again, double click. And This time, if I wanted to, I could start with its position. I want to start with it at 0, 0, and I want to end with it at a y of 133, which is the opposite of what we did for the Age of Enlightenment. Come over to the text, change this to John Locke, and pick that same font that I used before. Done. Okay, take my playhead, back to the beginning of my presentation, hit my space bar to start playing. And you can see it transitions quite nicely, just like I wanted it to. All right, so I'm only missing a few things at this point. Maybe I want to put in some background music. So I can go to the audio option, and there are lots of music options. If you go to free music, it has folders with all kinds of categories in it. And I'm going to pick historic 1600 to 1800. And if I want to hear it, I just hit play to get the preview. Not bad. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to drag it down to my audio track. Now, you can see it's much longer than my presentation so far. I'm going to shrink up my timeline so I can find the end of this song. I'm going to click on it, come to the end, and I can shorten its length to however long I need. And I'm going to squeeze that timeline back out so it's easier for me to see what I put in so far. Okay. Now, let's say I want to change the volume on my background music. So if I wanted to put in a voiceover, it wouldn't be overpowering. I have two ways to do this. I can double click it to bring up the editing options, and I could change the overall audio level. Or I can come to this timeline settings option, and I can turn on show clip volume. And what that does is it puts a rubber band, which is this black bar, on any audio file that I have included in my presentation. So let's say I want the music nice and loud for the title screen. Okay, I can click here and I can start turning down the volume right here if I wanted to. Turn it back up here so it just does a little fade. Come to the end. And I can see exactly what level I put it at by clicking on it. So 51, and I want to change this one down to 51 as well. So it's the same for this part. If I can get it there. Pretty close. Okay, so at this point, let's say I'd like to put in a voiceover about John Locke. I'm going to move my playhead to where I want my voiceover to start. Then I'm going to come to my voiceover track, and I'm going to click the record button or the microphone button. I've already allowed the microphone on my presentations. If you have to add the microphone, a window will pop up which will say Adobe Flash Player Settings, and it wants to allow the website to access the camera and microphone. Go ahead and check Allow, go ahead and check Remember, and then hit Close. You will then be able to use the record to put in a voiceover. Then I could start recording my voice. John Locke is one of the most well-known philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment. Okay, great. So my recording is now in, and it spans most of this picture, which is what I would like it to do. So now I'd like to watch a preview to see how the music and everything goes together. John Locke is one of the most well-known philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment. Okay, obviously the music in the background is not nearly low enough. So I'm going to come to that point. And one more time I'm going to play it. John Locke is one of the most well-known philosophers of the Age of Enlightenment. Super. My presentation is now ready to be published. I come up to the Publish button, click. I'm going to pick a title for my video, so John Locke Test. Click Set, and it's going to bring me to this window. There are very few options available to us who have free accounts. Our destination has to be WeVideo. Our quality has to be 480p. One thing we can do, though, is we can select a thumbnail for the actual presentation, the picture people will see when they see your video. There's a slider here, and I can move it along my presentation to pick the one that I want to use. So I'm going to pick this spot right here. I click Select, I'm good, and I'm ready to publish my video. Okay, when I get to this point, I can leave. I don't have to stay here. I'm going to get an email when my presentation is ready to be shared with others. I've gotten my email stating that my video has finished exporting, so I'm going to log in. And I'm going to go to my exports to see any of the videos that I have created and have published. So here's my John Locke test. So I can click on this thumbnail to take me to the actual published video. Up in my address bar, I could just copy this address, send it in an email to share it with anyone I want to view the video. My other option is to come to the share button down at the bottom here, and it will give me that same address right there to copy. Or if I wanted to embed it in a website, I can click this embed option and I can get the embed code.